Yo, how you lot doing? Today I'm showing you how I dominate Pokemon Champions. Kind of. On April Fool's, Showdown released a letter unbanning all of the most broken Mega Evolutions, which honestly turned out to be one of the most fun meta games yet. Starting off with the team. With any good singles team, you need to set your own hazards and remove your opponent's hazards. That's exactly why I picked Limura, being able to fill both of these roles better than any alternative. Moving on though, Samurott had to be a sleeper pick in this meta, since AV Samurott was Mega Gengar and Mega Delphox, two of the primary threats of my team. Next up are Event Chillers, Choice Band Cinderace and Scarf Enamorous. Band Cinderace is an insane amount of damage while also having Stab Sucker Punch. Scarf Enamorous has a huge ground immunity, being able to threaten opposing ones immediately switching. Next we got Booster Attack Rate Task, somewhat unorthodox, but with offensive Rapid Spin it can apply immediate pressure. And last but not least, Mega Gengar. This thing is just unfair. Shadow Tag prevents opponent from switching out, Encore locks him into the same move for 3 turns, and Disable removes that move completely for 4 turns. That combination gives Gengar the ability to win the game at Team Preview. And it's probably why it got banned from the Legendaries format in the unofficial ban list. Banned amongst bad Pokemon. In the upcoming games you'll probably figure out why that's the case. Every great mess starts with a sweep. Every great sweep starts with a mess. I lead Gleam into Galvantula. We make quick work of Galvantula as the break Sash and KO the Molt's been getting rid of its webs. They bring in Gudra and they click Acid Armor, which isn't going to be a problem because Earth Power manages to get enough chip to put it in Revenge Kill range, and we also set up rocks. We managed to set up T-Spikes on the body press, which is nice. I bring in Gengar to clean up the Gudra and Mega Evolve, locking in my Shadow Tag for the rest of the game. They bring in Indeedee chipped in poison, and this is where it gets disrespectful. They manage to make this second mistake. They click Light Screen. Now usually Light Screen is a great move. It halves special attack damage, but just like Light is Wraps. The Indeedee gets encored into Light Screen, and then its Disable locks it into Struggle, leading it to faint toxic damage. They bring in Mega Delphox ready to send my Gengar packing with Expanded Force, but we eat this with Samurott since it was both of its types. We eat Flamethrower, and we manage to knock it out with Useless Edge, setting up another layer of hazards. They bring in Corviknight. They try to set up, they're trying to get the reverse sweep. Their Mirror Armor drops their defense down, which isn't an issue, I just want to get rid of Samurott so I can pivot in. They bulk up. We're almost there, but not really. We manage to knock off time. Samurott gets taken down. Then I remember their first mistake. Not bringing Mega Gengar. I protect to scout the move. Okay, Iron Head. I disable the Iron Head, and then I encore the disabled Iron Head, and I Shadow Ball to pick it off. It struggles to death, and they bring in Incineroar as a last-ditch effort. Now, unlike what Wolfish VGC might have you believe, Incineroar is absolutely garbage. On to game 2. Now we've got Mega Gengar Stall Mirror. Clearly learned from the last guy, but I wasn't expecting to play Stall in such a hyper-offensive metagame. In this matchup, Limura isn't as useful since Toxic Spikes are easy to remove and they all might be running heavy-duty boots, but Earth Power does put good pressure on Toxic Spike. He switches into Glasgow to avoid the Earth Power, but I stay in it anyways just to remove the hazards unnecessarily, since Gengar can just pick up the Toxic Spike since he's poison, but I get rid of the hazards anyways, and I live on 1% because of my Sash. I managed to land a huge crit power gem on Glasgow, dropping his health down to half. And I pivot straight into Mega Gengar with 2 layers of Toxic Spikes. Now, they've made a huge blunder by staying in on my Mega Gengar. I bait out his Earthquake with Protect, and I disable the Earthquake. You could probably figure out why it's so broken, but I've got a bit of trivia for you. Which Pokemon should move first, and why? A. Is it my Mega Gengar because I'm better? B. Is it my Mega Gengar because I'm lucky? C. Is it his Mega Gengar because he is lucky? Or D. It's my Mega Gengar because he Mega Evolved this turn? But unfortunately for him, I move first. Let me know why down in Game 3. It looks a bit scary for Glimmora because that stab Earthquake from Garchomp is coming. But he goes for Scale Shot instead, so I capitalize and switch to Enamorous next turn. I'm threatening a Moonblast Oko, so he switches out into Primarina, which takes a lot of damage. and gets a special attack up. Pre-Marine is not built for stab boom blast as it dies next turn. He goes into Talonflame, but I waste his Gale Wings priority on Glimora and force it to switch out next turn to avoid dying to Power Gem. And I get up a layer of spikes. He goes into Gengar here, huge blunder, as Gengar takes half of his health, more than half of his health to Power Gem, which was not worth it for him. And I switch in Samurott to wall the Gengar. And out of pure greed, I click Ceaseless. It misses, deservedly. I should have clicked Knockoff, and I take a Sucker Punch, but that was so risky because if the Gengar clicked Encore there, or Disable, and to start setting up, it would have been over. But he goes into Garchomp, I go into Enamus again, knock out the Garchomp. He goes into Chandelure, I sack Glimora, managed to survive this hit somehow. I get some Sucker Punch damage, and I sack Samurott, and then I clean the game with Mega Gengar. Unnecessary Protect. It picks up Chandelure. He goes into Hydrapple, he gets dismantled after I Protect, disable his Earth Power. And Encore that disabled Earth Power. So this gets taken out cleanly. Struggle, Shadow Ball, dead. He goes into Talonflame, and instead of wasting time, I hit it with a Shadow Ball and I let it die to its own recoil. So all in all, I managed to hit 17th on the ladder before it got taken down the next day. Mega Gengar should probably stay banned. Thanks for watching.
Show some originality, Marek!
Ha! The shadows hunger for your mind and your soul.
You don't scare me!
Then what's that I see in your eye?
Can I get an encore?